everyone, my name is Rafal and welcome to my vlog. So before I jump into today's vlog, I have a couple of announcements. The first one is I have a headshot photography workshop in Calgary on July 15th. Everything is set up. Actually, there is a big photography conference in our city, and the organizers are helping me out to put this workshop together, which I'm very grateful. So everything is ready to go. So if you're from Calgary in the area and you'd like to join, please feel free to contact me and I'll provide you more information. I also put some information in the description down below, so please check it out. Also, if you really want to be part of it, I'll be more than happy to also help you out with some discount code. Just shoot me an email and we'll go from there, and I'll try to make this possible for everybody who is interested. On the top of that, I have another workshop in August on the 11th and 12th in Las Vegas. I'm super excited. I'm trying to gather the group for the workshop. There seems like there's quite a bit of people interested, so hopefully this whole thing also come true and we're gonna be able to do that. If you have any questions, again, please feel free to shoot me an email and I'll be more than happy to answer any additional questions. So let's jump into today's vlog, and today I want to talk about my process of creating a headshot. I'm getting a lot of emails from a lot of you guys, and basically the most common question I'm receiving is, what camera do you use and what kind of lighting do you have? But the process is much more complex. So what I've decided to do from now on, I'll try to do more vlogs where I'll show you exactly my process of creating a headshot from the beginning to the end. And that hopefully will help you guys out to actually make this entire process, I would say, much easier for you guys to understand. On the top of that, I think it gives you a little bit more information about each part of creating the headshot, because unfortunately creating any image nowadays, it's not just the camera and the lighting. There is much more which goes into it, and I want to make sure that everybody who is watching and actually is part of this headshot photography industry have a little bit of better understanding about how this whole thing comes to existence and what I do in order to make this work. Okay, so the first step is preparation, the person for the headshot. I rarely shoot someone who just basically comes in, is not prepared, doesn't have a makeup, doesn't have a hair done. I basically don't shoot those type of people, because that's gonna impact my work, and there are chances that the person is not gonna be happy with the headshot. So I want to make sure that whoever actually gets at the front of my camera is prepared to get the session done. So as I said, the first step is definitely the hair and the makeup, and I have a team of people I'm working with, and they actually helping me out to make the person ready for the photo shoot. I don't want to brag about it a lot, but I've been also doing some vlogs about it. But the makeup is extremely important, because it's not only helping us to make the person looks a little bit better, but also helping us as a photographers to go through the post-production process. So it's extremely important. I highly recommend that if you don't have a makeup artist, I'm sure there's a lot of people in your area which will be interested to work with you and make your images get better. So that's the first step. The second step is preparing the background. So in this case, for this image particularly, I've decided to go with the painting. The painting was quite interesting and had a lot of texture, had a lot of different colors and different things going on, which I basically envisioned that it's gonna work really well for this particular session. So we picked the background. I also decided to go with a little bit of adding additional color, so I use basically my speed lights, and I'm going to be talking about the gear in a second, with the red gel, which kind of gives me a little bit of kind of kick of redness to the image, not too much, just a little bit to make the image interesting. So the next step, which is step number 3, is the gear. I'm not going to be talking in details. I'm going to talk about a couple things which I think is extremely important. Well, I'm basically shooting with my Nikon D800, and I've been using this camera for almost 5-6 years, and I'm not planning to change it. There's a couple of things which I really love about this camera. Is the pixel count. That definitely helps me to pretty much have, you know, images which is much easier retouch, because, you know, the file are very big, and I can get into some of the details. The second important part is the lens, and this is something which also is kind of confusing for a lot of people. Most of the time I'm using my 70-200 lens, which gives me really nice compression. On the top of that, what I would like to add, most of my shoots are done between 160 and 200 mil, which means that I have very compressed image, and that image also compressed the back, well, the lens compressed the background, which is extremely important, because that's what happens to make the image basically have really nice bokeh and really nice milky, as some people say, and smooth background, which gives you that kind of very interesting blurriness on the image, and that's extremely important. I'm not going to be talking about additional stuff such as just, you know, lighting and stuff. Most of you guys know I'm using speed lights, and most of the time I'm using 3 lights setup: main light, kicker light, and 1 light for the background. And for the soft boxes, I'm using again, for the many years, Elinchrom Deep Octa, and I have 2 of them, 39 inches and 27 inches size of those Deep Octas. And actually Elinchrom makes only 2 of them, big size and then the smaller one, and there's no other sizes. So that's pretty much my gear. So what is the next step? The next step for this image was the lighting. So recently, for over the last several months, I realized and I really like clamshell lighting. It looks beautiful, especially on women, and I found it's just beautiful light. Everything kind of looks really soft and neat, and I found most of the time 90% of my shoots, especially for the kind of glamorous and there's creative shoots, I'm using this clamshell lighting. I will show you here how this look like, and basically it's the main light position about above the model's head is aiming 45 degrees down. Underneath there is a reflector. In this case I'm using the 37 inches silver reflector. You can use anything, even aluminium foil would give you some reflection will work, but in this case I have this reflector plus the kicker light, and there is 1 light for the background. Okay, so the next step, and this is we getting into the photo shoot. So there's a couple things what I want to say when it comes to posing the person and face expressions. So depends who you're working with, and I found you have to dedicate yourself a little bit of time. You cannot simply just put the model at the front of you and, you know, kind of take a couple shots and you're done. To get proper face expression and then get the kind of the stuff you're looking for, it takes a little bit of time. Most of the time we're shooting people who basically never been at the front of the camera. They might be very stressed, they might feel intimidated by the camera, by all the settings and everything what is going on. So you need to give yourself a little bit of time. On average I shoot for about an hour, sometimes even 2 hours, depends on the person, but that's the time what I need in order to get the person warmed up a little bit. And also what is extremely important, and I think a lot of people forgetting, it's not that the person have to kind of learn from you what you're expecting from them, but also for the photographer we are learning about the person, how we can photograph the person to make the person looks good. So it's kind of both ways. And I quite often hear that, well, if I would work with professional models, then would be much easier. In this particular case, I work with beautiful person, and Edie, basically, she never actually did professional shoot before, and she was a little bit stressed out, of course. You know, she's never done it before, but a little bit of instructions, a little bit of kind of time working together, I could learn, you know, what kind of works best for her. But that takes time, and we need to actually dedicate this time to learn about this person, and also vice versa. The person also kind of need to relax a little bit and make sure that, you know, like, she knows what I'm going after and she can deliver what I'm looking for. So another thing what I want to say when it comes to the posing person, this is also extremely important. This is one of the tips I want to throw at you, which is, again, something which a lot of people forget. Make sure that the person is engaged with you. You know, it's really hard to say you have to position the person this or on that way. The one thing what makes posing, I would say, good, and then the person looks good on the pictures, is whenever the person is engaged with you. So in my case, I always, you know, talk to people. I'm trying to kind of have some kind of conversation going on. I always try to kind of like make sure that the people are leaning towards to you. That's a big one. This is the same whenever we have a conversation with someone, and someone, if is engaged with you, they're interested. They try to get close to you. They're leaning towards to you, and that's something extremely important, because that gives you that sense that the person is interested in whatever, if you're talking or whatever you're doing, but you can feel that engagement. If someone is not interested and someone doesn't care, basically they want to go away, they're leaning kind of like against you, and you can sense that they're not interested in whatever you're saying or whatever you're doing. So the one thing what I want to say is, make sure that you're engaged with the person, and the person is kind of like verbally, by their body language, engage with you. That's extremely important. And the last thing is the eyes, because eyes always tells the story. And what I want to say is the way I also deal with people, this is kind of comes down to, again, being engaged, and then the person is focusing on you. Person is basically engaged in the photo shoot, and then you can really see that the eyes tells the story. Sometimes what happens is, if you're not engaged, the person is looking at you, but their mind is someone else. And what happens is, whoever is seeing those photos later on, they can sense that you know, the person is looking at the camera, but it's just not interested. And maybe even sometimes the picture is technically done okay, but what happens is, whoever is looking at those photos, their body language and their body and the face expression can kind of like sense the message to us, whoever is watching and seeing that image, that you know, they're not there. Their mind is someone else, and then, you know, we can subconsciously feel that. So that's extremely important. And I'm sure a lot of photographers out there, they pushing a lot of you know, kind of things to make sure that the image is done correctly from the technical standpoint, but they're not really engaging with the person, and they're not really doing anything to make that person engage. And even the picture is beautifully done technically, that's pretty much, you know, doesn't kind of, the person who is seeing that image doesn't kind of feel that, right? So the face expression and making sure that the person is engaged with you is extremely important, and that's what's going to make your headshots standing out from, you know, other people work. Okay, and the last part of creating the image, and that's again extremely important, is retouching. And I'm gonna go through the retouching right now. I'll show you step by step what I've done. I'm not gonna go into like very specific details, but that gives you actually a little bit of idea how I process my images. So let's jump into Photoshop and let's discuss the retouching. Okay, so now we're in Photoshop and I'm gonna show you the steps, what I'm going through to create the final image. I'm not gonna show you the entire process because that would take over an hour to get it done, but I want to show you the steps, you know, which I always take, and this is my process for each image, and that gives you a little bit of better understanding what the image has to go through. And if you have any specific questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them. Just shoot me an email and then we'll go from there. So let's jump into it, and I'm gonna show you what I'm doing with all my images. So the first step is, so this is, as you guys probably see, this is the raw image. This is how the image comes out of the camera, and as you probably see, the image already is, in my opinion, you know, good enough. I just want to also add here that it's extremely important that, you know, you starting with the good quality image. The Photoshop and the retouching is mostly for enhancing the image, not to fixing stuff. So everything what you can do, probably, you know, you should do, you know, during the shoot or, you know, throughout the shoot. Don't leave those stuffs, you know, to get it done in post-processing, because sometimes it's time consuming and sometimes it might be difficult. So okay, let's jump into it and let's discuss the entire process. So the first step is general cleaning. So as you guys probably see, she's got few pimples here and there. There is some stuff on her shoulders, but this is the most, so I'm cleaning the most obvious stuff. So I'm using the healing brush, and this is the layer when I've done it. So as you guys probably see, everything is pretty much removed. So this is the first step. The second step is the dodge and burn, and this is the technique I'm using to basically just clean up all this discoloration on her skin. There's, you know, some stuff, as you guys probably will see in a second. So this is basically cleanup. So I'm using basically 2 layers, dodge and burn, and whenever the image needs to be dodge, I dodge. Whenever it has to be burn, it's burn. So this is the first step to clean this up. It's a little bit of time consuming and takes me about 10 to 20 minutes to get it done. I'll be more than happy to create another video to show you entire process, but that's the second step. So as you guys probably see, all this stuff underneath her eyes, there's a lot of stuff going on her face, is clean up. Okay, so the next step is enhancing their eyes. So because she's got a really dark dark eyes, you guys probably see it. I'll make a zoom in. As you guys can see, I'm just basically giving a little bit of more pop to it to make sure that the eyes, you know, they have a little bit more impact. The next thing is, what I'm doing is the color and toning. So basically I'm using adjustment layers, and I'm using 4 of them. It's color balance, black and white, hue and saturation, and curves. And after going those very small steps, I'm basically doing some coloration and toning. The next thing what I do, and this is also extremely important, is symmetry. So as you probably see, you know, the hair is they're not perfect. You know, the arms looks kind of big here. So basically I'm using Liquify tool, which you can find in filters, and then you can go to Liquify and basically do all this work, and basically that's how the image looks after liquefying. So as you guys probably see, I fixed the hair a little bit. I basically make the arm a little bit smaller because I found this like a little bit kind of too much. And this is just a very basic stuff just to get the image nice symmetry. The next thing what I'm doing is the final light dodge and burn, because whenever we're doing toning and whenever we're doing some, you know, colors to it, you know, there's some shifts in the colors, and you want to make sure this whole thing is addressed and fixed. So I'm doing another run of dodge and burn, and this is, you guys probably see, there's some stuff which was addressed, and basically that gives you the really nice polish image, which basically, you know, looks a little bit better.
And the final thing for all the images, what I do is vignetting. So I'm using pretty much camera raw filter, and there is one option there which basically you can create really nice and subtle vignetting. So this is pretty much the whole thing what the image goes through, and I want to show you right now how the image looks before and after. So that was before, and this is after, and this is what takes me about an hour to go through to create that kind of image. So I know it looks maybe for some of you guys complicated. I will be doing some more specific vlogs when it comes to the retouching, but this is that gives you the idea what the image goes through for the final look. And as you probably see, there's a lot of things which were addressed in order to lighting, symmetry, color, and toning. So I want to make sure that people understand that the image what you guys see as a final image has some adjustments done to it to make the image looks really nice and looks clean, especially and basically that's what is happening with all my images.
I hope you like this video. I hope that gives you a little bit of a better understanding how I create my headshots. If you have any additional questions or you would like to know a little bit more, please feel free to contact me. I'll be more than happy to answer all your questions. Of course, I'm getting a lot of them, so I'm trying to also make sure that I answer them, but that might take a little bit of time. So again, thank you for watching. If you got to this point, yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciated your time, yes, stay tuned, and I will be chatting with you guys shortly, and I will be creating another vlog about some of those interesting stuff when it comes to the headshot photography. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned, and bye bye.